You've probably noticed that certain professions are the subject of many TV shows and films. I'm thinking of doctors, lawyers, law enforcement officers, and teachers, among many others. But how often are those portrayals somewhat accurate or realistic? Well, one of those professions is the topic for today's episode. This is the Kazdoy Closet. I'm Kazdoy. That's my closet full of all the stuff that I love. And today, a film about a beginning teacher based on his true story. But does this teacher film get it right? Let's check it out. Today's film is To Sir with Love from 1967, 105 minutes long, in color. This is about a young black man. He's looking for an engineering job, but in the meantime, he takes a job teaching some very unruly high school kids in a poor area of London. So I'm looking at this film from the perspective of someone who taught high school for over 30 years, and I'm looking to see how many things this film got right about teaching. It did get some things right. First of all, it's based on the teacher's own book about his own experiences, so that gives it some legitimacy and some credibility. And even though his book was focused more on race, because he was a black man teaching almost all white students. But one thing it gets right is the students test him immediately. How far can they push this teacher? These are at-risk students with a lot of problems at home, very similar to the kids that I used to teach. They live on the East End of London. As the author says, the ruins from World War II were still visible on a daily basis. So not a real nice area. They do test the teacher by changing their seats, by acting bored, yawning very loudly, making noises, speaking sarcastically to him. The principal tells this teacher early on that all these kids are rejects from other schools. So another thing it gets right is this teacher grapples with how to teach them and how to reach them. He does lose his temper and then regrets it immediately afterwards. But he decides he's going to teach them how to behave since they're going to be out in the real world pretty soon because they're all going to graduate. He even has to teach one girl how to enter the room properly, just basic stuff like that. I had to do that too. If a kid runs in the room yelling or goofing around, I made them go back outside, enter the room the right way. The principal tells this teacher early on, whether you succeed or fail depends entirely on you. And that is very true, because once that bell rings and the door shuts and the class begins, you're there on your own and it's sink or swim. So what does this film get wrong about teaching? Well, this is kind of maybe a nitpicky thing, but at one point he takes his students to a museum, but he doesn't prepare them for the museum. Instead, we get the dreaded montage, one of my pet peeves, with the title song, To Sir with Love, playing in the background. That song, though I love it, is used about 4 times in this film. It's a bit too much. But there's a montage of still photos of the kids looking quizzically at all these works of art and these different artifacts and stuff. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because I took students on a field trip to a major art museum in LA once, but I didn't prepare them for it. I didn't even think about it. That was a mistake because they went through that museum in about 20, 30 minutes. I had a 2-hour time frame for them to use the museum. So I realized I never taught them what to look for, how to, different parts of the museum, different areas, all that stuff. So we had to kind of go back in and do it the right way. So he didn't prepare them. He just taught them. He just brought them to the museum, and right away they weren't enthralled. I thought that was a little unrealistic. The other thing is, it seems like he only has one class because you never see him with another class. When in truth, he probably had 5 or 6 classes. A film like Stand and Deliver, I will give credit, even though it focused on this East LA teacher, a true story about his AP calculus class. They did show him with other classes and even teaching adult school. One big problem with some of these teacher films is, do students look their age? For the most part, they do. Some of them look way too old, like mid to late 20s to be teenagers in this film. There's a weird part in here where, well, he's teaching the girls how to behave like ladies, and he's teaching the boys how to clean up their act hygienically. So there's one weird part here where he tells the boys, look, pretty soon you're going to be interested in girls. I'm thinking these guys are like 17 or 18 years old already. So they were probably interested in girls when they were back to 12 and 13 years old. So I thought that was kind of an odd thing to do. One girl does get a crush on the teacher, which does happen. But then he's in the room with her alone a couple of times with the door shut. Now that is something you never do as a teacher. We're told that many times. It doesn't matter if you're a male or female teacher, what sex the student is. You do not stay in the room with them, especially with the door shut. You either go outside with them or you tell somebody next door somebody else is in there with you. There's a student in there with you. So that is a major thing that you don't do. It does get sentimental at the end, but I defy you to not tear up at the end of the film, near the end of the film, when Lulu sings her big hit song, To Serve with Love, and the kids give him a gift because the semester's over. He even tears up. I'm tearing up. I just hear the song, I tear up. I don't know why, but I do. So how does this film hold up? Well, it is the swinging 60s, so you're going to have hairstyles and makeup and fashion and music and dancing from that era. So you got to go into that. It does say introducing Lulu. She has a part in the film. She had a big hit with the song To Serve with Love. I believe it was nominated for an Academy Award also. But at least in the States, she was just a one-hit wonder. Sidney Poitier plays our main character, the teacher. He is excellent in this film, charismatic, vulnerable, sympathetic. He was the first black man to win a Best Actor Oscar. And he was also a civil rights activist, among other things, which is apparent in this film and also in his films In the Heat of the Night and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. All three of these films were released in 1967. And interestingly, in 1955, he played a juvenile delinquent high school kid in the teacher film The Blackboard Jungle. So kind of a switch here. He played a hoodlum in that film in high school, and now he's playing a teacher dealing with hoodlums in a different high school 12 years later. James Clavell wrote the screenplay, produced, and directed the film. He's best known as a writer. He wrote the screenplays for The Fly, the 1958 version, of course, and for The Great Escape. And he wrote the novel Shogun, which the film and series were based on. So my rating for To Serve with Love is a close one, but I'm going to give this a 4.5 books out of 5. It's almost a 5 for me. There's a nostalgia factor here, of course, because I watched it when I was a kid and probably inspired me. One of the many things that inspired me to go into teaching myself. But overall, I think it's accurate as far as teaching goes in a general sense, especially the very end, which I will not give away here. So what's on this disc? This is an indicator disc. It is unfortunately the standard edition, so there's no booklet included here. It's region A, B, and C, and has several features, including an audio commentary, which I did not listen to. It has some featurettes ranging in length from, say, 5 to 24 minutes. There's an interview with Lulu. There's an interview with one of the actors, with the art director. But the best by far is an interview with the author who wrote the book that To Serve with Love is based on. It's his story, and he's an interesting guy. He's a World War II vet. He was in the Royal Air Force. Just really great feature. I like that one a lot. So where can you see To Serve with Love? Well, right now it's streaming on HBO Max. You can also buy it. You can rent it. And you can also try your public library. So feel free to leave a comment or a suggestion down below here. Maybe there's a teacher film that you particularly like. Share that with us. It could be Dangerous Minds or Stand and Deliver or Lean on Me or Freedom Riders. There's a lot of them out there. Leave a thumbs up. Don't leave a thumbs down. Subscribe would be great. Share this with your friends and neighbors. Subscribing is free. Also free is we're on the Letterboxd app under the Kazdoy Closet. There's a link down below in the show notes. That's where we leave brief written reviews of other things we're watching that we don't talk about here. Most recently, The Beach House and The Devil's Bath and Dick Tracy versus Cue Ball. So check that out. What's not free is my first ebook is now available. It's called True Tales from the Teacher Trenches, the ups and downs from 32 years of teaching. And that's for the Kindle, if you have a Kindle, or if you don't have a Kindle, you can use the Kindle app on the device of your choice, like a iPhone or an iPad or something. And you would have to go to Amazon.com. Don't use the Amazon app to buy it because it won't work. Go to use your web browser, go to Amazon.com and look for True Tales from the Teacher Trenches, and it's going to set you back a whole $1.99. I'm not trying to make a lot of money off this at that price. Just want to share my experiences with you out there in the darkness. So hope you like that. Hope you like this episode. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.